Hey everyone, it is Rebecca E. Parsons, and I am back today for another version of Tag Team Friday for the Graphics Fairies premium site. And today we are going to have some fun for paper with what I call paper piecing patchwork tag. That's a big mouthful, isn't it? But this is the little beauty that we are going to be making today. It is a big chunky tag. It is about 9.5 inches tall and about 5.5 inches wide. The tag itself, it's a little protruding with our little girl on it, but I just wanted to make it big enough so that you could actually see what I was doing, because it's kind of intricate, but it is fun. And it is made with the bundles. Let me make sure I get them right. Cottage wallpaper bundle on the premium website, and it is also made with some children from the Babies and Children bundle on the premium website. So let's just get our tools out of the way here, and all the supplies and stuff will be listed underneath the video, so I won't take up any time with that. But okay, so let's get started. So let's talk about the tag itself. Like I said, it's about 9.5 by 5.5, but of course it can be made any size that you want it to be. And I'm just going to turn this over for a second. And this is my tag template that I made, and I want to show you how I came up with the designs to make the paper pieces, because that's an easy fix for us. So you need a ruler. I like a heavy metal ruler, and a pencil. And it really doesn't matter how you draw this. There is no inches or centimeters or do it this way or do it that way. I'm just going to show you how I come up with it and let you take it from there. You can certainly do squares or circles or whatever you want to do, but I kind of liked this offset look of all these beautiful different patterns and pieces that turned into our fabrics. And then we will make this center with words on it. So this is how I do it. I just kind of make a little offset dot, and I do it a little to the left of center and a little to beneath center, because I want I don't like anything right in the center. It just doesn't feel right in the law of thirds and everything when you're doing design work. So I just take it, and I wanted 14 different pieces of paper. So I went around the outside and made kind of 14 different marks, just did it randomly. I didn't measure anything like that. I just wanted it to look very free and easy. And what I do is just take my ruler and connect those outside marks with this dot that I made. And I have some of them already made on here. And you can see it's just kind of free and easy. If you hold your pencil down on the dot in the middle and move your ruler, it kind of always keeps the center in place. Okay, I think we're going to get there shortly. All right, so I have 14 marks, and that is going to be where our paper pieces are going to be down. And then I have, let me find it, then I take these and number them. starting on this side because I find it easier if there's any adjustment to do at the end, that I adjust one of these smaller pieces on the left-hand side for me. It's easier to adjust the smaller pieces than it is to do the bigger. So I'm just going to number these 1, 2, 3, and there are 14 pieces. 14 different papers that I made or used, and some of them I did repeat. I did use a couple of them a couple of times. This little rattan looking one, the little white flowers, and this little blue. I did use, I think, 3 of them a couple of times. But you can kind of see where I'm going with that, hopefully. That's my easy peasy way. And since I'm a graphic designer, I always like to put it on the computer. I scan this usually in and put it on the computer. And that is how I got my pieces to cut my papers. And I just made these kind of little small pieces because I didn't need full page pieces, and I put 4 or 6 of them to a page on online, but of course you can print out the full papers if you want. And so I don't bore you to death. I've already cut out several of the pieces, and I'm going to show you how and what my thinking is. And I kind of like to have a real pretty part of the pattern right there on the inside of it. This will be the piece that goes up against the words, the little word oval that I have. So I kind of like to just look through this. I also found you can do it on printer paper, but I really do like to have my pieces on a little bit of cardstock. It sometimes helps to cut it out easier. But anyway, I'm just going to put this up here and kind of wing it for you. The most important part of the cut is going to be the 2 edges that piece up against the other pieces. This kind of circle piece will be covered. The middle will be covered with the words, and the outside we will trim when we are finished with all of it. So I always leave just a little extra on the outside. So when we're cutting, just make sure you take your time and get right along these edges. And of course, try to get as close to those lines as you possibly can. And again, I just leave a little tail or a little extra on the edges there, just in case I need to adjust anything. And before you start on the second side, make sure that you're still all lined up on this first side. Take it back and forth like that. And then I'll go ahead and cut. And again, just take it slow and easy on your cuts so that you will have those 2 specific edges as perfect as you can get them. And this is our number 14 piece, and I am not going to cut it until I have everything placed down. And there's a reason for that, because I've made several of these tags, and it just, if there's any fooling or adjustment that you have to make, it's better to make it on one of these smaller ones and one of the last ones on this side. Okay, so I am going to kind of set this over to the side, and I will be gluing these down on a piece of the wonderful cottage wallpaper that I printed. I'm going to put it on the back side of that. I'm going to kind of set this here so I can see where to place my first piece. Okay, and here's my first cut piece, number 1. And it looks like I didn't do a really good job of cutting that one. Duh. Oops. Let me put it up here. Sorry, I had it aligned against the extra end there. So yeah, it does look pretty good. So I'm just going to put the number down, and I am going to bring this out here. And keep that edge pretty straight. That's the straight side of our tag. And I like to use repositionable adhesive on this part when I'm putting these pieces down now. And there's a reason for that. It's because I want to be able to move these if I need to move them. Okay, and I'm going to bring number 2. And I should have had my glue board out here, which I don't. Let me see if I can find a piece of scrap paper to do this on, to do some of my gluing. It's easier. And then just butt that one right up against there. And it doesn't matter what this outside edge looks like right now. We're going to take piece number 3. And I kind of call this dry fitting at this moment. And I think that's a little high, as you can see. So I'm going to have to move this one down. See why I need that repositionable adhesive? Yes, I hope you do. It's much easier that way. And I just kind of want to tack it down. If you were sewing, just like you were sewing, you want to tack it down. And tack this one. And like I said, these edges are the ones that are most important. Right in here. You don't want any of them to overlap. You just want them to butt against each other nicely, like you would when you are doing regular patchwork. Okay. So this is going to take a while, so we will speed this up as I work around this. And once you get 3 or 4 of them down, you're pretty good to go. But don't rush it. Oops. And I printed the backing, this wonderful cottage wallpaper that's going to be the back of our tag. I printed it on cardstock, but I'm actually using paper. This is just 20-pound paper to do my paper piecing with. It's just easier for me, I found. Okay, well, I'm having all kinds of fun with this one. Piece number 7. And 8. So I keep my little numbers together so I know what's going on here. And this is fun. I just absolutely love this. And we're going to do some wonderful stitching. We're going to make some faux stitches on it, but you can certainly do it with a sewing machine or by hand stitching if you so choose. I think we're doing pretty well. when I get this all put together, I will glue this down with some permanent adhesive. And I like to use the glue stick on this also because this is paper. Again, we're piecing paper, and I don't like to get it really, really wet. Okay, let's hold our breath and hope that 13 and 14 will go in here perfectly. I always kind of hold my breath when I make these videos because it's like I do practice several times before I shoot the video, but it's always like, okay, I just want to make sure that I'm doing it right. I remember all the steps in the order they need to be done in, and that everything is correct. So I'm going to take my 14 piece and I'm going to put it down there and see if I need to make any adjustments on it. And I actually think that it is right spot on. Great. I made a video correctly. Yay, yay. So I'm just going to find a pretty piece of the pattern. Cut this one. Again, those two edges that are pieced are the most important ones. So I take my time with those. And it really doesn't matter. You could circle the inside one if you want to, but it really does not matter at this point in time because we are going to be covering some of those edges up with our circle piece. With this piece. This piece is going to cover all those inside wonky bits. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me get all those little bits and pieces out of our way. And I think we're doing pretty good with that. So I am just going to take this one, take my little template here, and I'm going to put it down somewhere in the middle. I'm satisfied with all of this, and I am just going to cut it out. All right. So again, this is another holding your breath time. It's fun though. I absolutely think this is one of the coolest tags I have ever made because, oh, I love those little children that are on these tags, and I love these cottage patchwork or cottage wallpaper pieces. I loved everything, every pattern in there. I think is just so adorable. All right, coming up on my last cut. And this may be a little wonky doing it for camera, but I think we're doing pretty well. I think so. Duh, we did pretty good on that. And I mean, this kind of adhesive, actually after about, I think, an hour or two, it becomes permanent, but it gives you a lot of time while you are working on your design to move some of it, which is a good thing. Okay, so at this point in time, I would just go ahead, after we have dry fit this, and I'm going to go ahead and put the edges and stuff down with my permanent glue. Just quickly do that. And I think you've got the idea behind that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to find a little place to put our words and kind of fit my little girl in there. So I'm going to use the permanent adhesive on that one. And put that right in there. And if you want to take a little burnishing device and burnish that down, that helps. But you can see, I hope, how much that looks like a patchwork quilt, which is paper piecing, which I love. And I'm going to set that aside to dry, because you don't want to do this next step until you have let it dry, because even with this glue stick, it does take a little while to dry. And I am going to take my nice little marker here, and I am going to show you. Let me get my examples out. There are 3 ways to do this faux stitching, which is so much fun. You can actually do on all the sides of each piece, which means there's stitching on this side and this side and this side and this side. You can do stitching on just one side. Is that not the cutest? She is certainly joyful. I just love that. But you can just stitch on one side. Or you can do what is called stitching in the ditch, which is right in the center. And of course you could do like cross stitches, or you could do some fancier stitches too. And again, you could do it with your sewing machine. But I kind of like this one on either side. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of show you how I do that. A couple of different ways to do that. You can, if you want to be very, very precise, I'm going to turn it this way. You can use a ruler and just kind of start at every point and mark what you want. It's kind of a little hard to do, keeping my head off the camera, but I kind of like it to look more hand-stitched than that. So I actually just kind of eyeball it. And you want to come, if you're right-handed, you want to come this way around. If you're left-handed, you want to do this way so you don't smear your ink. And you could get fancy and use different colors if you needed to. I kind of always prefer, I don't like to put black in my artwork. I kind of use dark blues or purples mainly. But I do like to use black ink for outlines and stuff in my work. And then we're going to do it around the center here. And these will kind of be fun little stitches going in a circle. And I kind of, like I said, I like my hand work to do these without being too precise, because that's exactly how my hand stitching works. And let's do that on the outside. And another thing, I didn't try it because I thought it might make the paper look dirty if I did it. But if you are one of those people that love to do the edges, love to age the edges of your paper, then go ahead and you can ink those if you need to. But I kind of think that looks pretty cute just like it is. And again, these little girls are so adorable. And there's this one. They are so cute. And I kind of like a little bit of her dress to be hanging over the edge and a little bit of her shoe. And let me see, let me make sure I'm doing this right. Add the oval and words and stitches. Then I'm going to add my little girl. She is so cute, cute, cute. And I don't stitch her. I do not stitch around her, but you are certainly welcome to if that is something you think you would like to do. But I just like to have her little shoe hanging off and the little edge of her dress hanging off. And I think, look how cute that is. Let me hold it up close so you can see the stitch work. Okay, and all we need to do now is to embellish it. If you want to put some kind of other embellish on here, I think that's fine. But I think this is embellished enough for me at this point. So I am just going to punch my hole. And I just bent it a little bit before we did it and made a little mark right there so that I could see where I was going to put my hole. And I'm hoping I'm getting it right in the center. We're going to be close. And then just thread a nice little ribbon or more than one ribbon. Sometimes I have trouble on camera threading ribbons, so I just was going to keep it with this one simple ribbon today. But you can add more than one, certainly. And this is where I always usually end up tearing my hole for some reason. So just be careful, take it easy with this. Mind your P's and Q's. And don't pull it too tight without worrying about it. But that is our project. And one thing I forgot to tell you was that I like to round the corners on my cards. I do like to do that. And you will need to do that part before you attach your little girl on here. It won't work otherwise. But so that is another option for you if you would like to use just a corner rounder. And there we go. There are our 3 examples. This is the one we made today. Isn't she adorable? They are all so darn cute. I can't pick which one I like the best. But I hope you will do this and play with those cottage wallpaper fabric pieces that are just so gorgeous. And go look up these little children, which are in the baby and children's bundle on the Graphics Fairies premium site. They're on the babies and children's bundle. So there you go for today. And I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed designing this for you. And I would love to see some of your tags. Leave some comments below. Subscribe to this network on YouTube and leave a comment if you want to tell us what you'd like to see or how you enjoyed this project. I'd love to hear from you. So anyway, this is Rebecca, and I am signing out for today for our paper piecing patchwork tag. Have fun, and may joy be with you all.